We have all heard wild tales about amazing coasters in China, but are they really that good? Well, yeah, they are. China is underestimated as a country severely in what they have to offer in the amusement industry. With being the most populated country in the world and having a huge culture for amusement parks, you could expect a ton of cool stuff coming out of this country. However, a lot of enthusiasts ignore what is here or just even pass it off as straight terrible. There may be some underlying motivations for the hate,
我在北京
but in today's video we are purely focusing on how good the coasters can be. The first point that we are going to cover is the diversity of manufacturers that China has to offer. It feels like almost every single manufacturer works over there and consistently works over there. We are yet to see an RMC, and that's really the only thing that is missing. It does suck because RMC is so good, but you have other world-class coasters to satisfy your other needs. For manufacturers that don't get a huge amount of business in the States, such as SNS and Vekoma, they build an insane amount of their new products over in China. You also see companies like Mack, Intamin, and GCI building quality edition after quality edition. Just the sheer amount of quality manufacturers you have over there is insane. And plus you also have the knockoff manufacturers, which aren't as bad as you think they are, but we will talk about that in another video. Next up is the sheer amount of growth that China has. Like I said, China gets quality edition after quality edition every single year. Now they do have the advantage of more land, more theme parks, and more people, but they get quality editions every year. In the past 2 years, China opened up a B&M Wing coaster, 3 new gen Vekoma coasters, including the first ever Super Boomerang, and a world-class Mack launch coaster. And that's not even counting their janky stuff, which by the way is actually pretty cool. Again, I said I would save it for another video, but look at the Jinma Rides knockoff B&M launch coaster, it just looks so good. And the best part is that these additions don't stop coming. Already planned for this year and next year is an Intamin Blitz, an Intamin Zackspin, a Zamperla Lightning, an SNS Air Launch, 2 new gen Vekomas, a Maurer Spike Coaster, an Intamin Surf Coaster, a Family Spinner. The best part is that all this information that we know about, there could be a lot more to come that has just not been announced yet or is just super unknown because of censoring laws. I mean, to me, that's an insane amount of coasters in that short of a time period. I don't see any country getting any more growth than that. Even the United States is not compared to the level that China is expanding at. So China is building a bunch of coasters, but are they any good? My next point is like the most obvious point ever, but China has some crazy standout coasters. When you compare the top 5 of China to some other countries, most notably the US, I would say it's relatively weaker, but there's just sheer quantity in this country. I'm going to name a couple of crowd favorites and you could decide for yourself if this is a good country for roller coasters or not. You have Dynaconda, one of the 340 coasters in the world. You have Wood Coaster and Python and Bamboo Forest, a pair of GCI masterpieces. You have Falcon, the best B&M Wing coaster in the world, and Starry Sky Ripper, what is on paper the best flying coaster in the world. You have a world-class Mack launch coaster and Beyond the Cloud. You have one of the best launch coasters in the world in Bullet Coaster. And you have so much more like Dueling Dragons, Flash, and Coaster Through the Clouds. It's actually insane what there is to offer. So yeah, it's pretty cool. And imagine the day RMC decides to come over here. You will have yourself the best collection of coasters on the planet, and there's no doubt with that. Now the next point kind of merges into what I have been saying, but China has so many roller coasters. The sheer quantity of what China has to offer is absolutely mind-blowing. It feels like every 30 minutes you drive down a main highway, you would hit a theme park with an extreme coaster, and I can't say you could do that anywhere else but China. So yeah, there's a ton of rides here, and that does make it so good. Think about all the credits you can get. Now you see. Now you want to go there. If we just look at the numbers and include everything from kiddie coasters to water coasters, China has 1,600 operating coasters. That's absolutely insane. The next closest country is the United States with 831, which is literally half of what China has. Heck, even all of Europe has less operating coasters with only 1,400. These numbers are absolutely mind-blowing to me, but I guess to support the largest population in the world with theme parks, you got to have a lot. Now, obviously, not all of these coasters are good. Knockoffs can be world-class or just god-awful, it really depends. And there are a lot of small family parks with a ton of kiddie coasters, but it still is an amazing feat, and you can't deny it. To have a little fun, let's do some math. According to RCDB, there are 5,756 operating roller coasters in the world. China operates 1,661 coasters, so if you do the math, that is a little more than 28% of the entire world's roller coaster collection. You can compare that to the 17% of the world population that lives in China, and say that's pretty good. So sheer quantity, you bet, China has it. Now the next point may be something that people don't like, but I don't really care. I made a whole video about it last week and everyone seemed to agree with me, so here it is. China values theming a lot, and I am absolutely for it. If you look at pretty much any highly attended park in China, there's a good chance there's a whole bunch of theming. Of course, you have the staples like Universal Studios and Disneyland, which have immaculate levels of theming. Like seriously, the Zootopia land coming to Shanghai looks sick. But the thing that makes China so good is that the average everyday park has insane levels of theming too. One of my favorite examples of this is Falcon, which is probably the best wing coaster in the world. And if you only want to look at the category of wing coasters, here are all the ones with amazing theming in China. You have Paracoaster, Da Vinci Ride, Flying Wing Coaster, Forest Predator, and Wing Coaster. The only one of them that is really bad at all is Heaven's Wing. It amazes me how you could look at a singular specific category of a model and name so many high quality coasters with theming. It's just insane. The best part is that even the chain Six Flags styles parks there, Happy Valley, all have their own unique little touches on theming. I absolutely love it. If you want to look at other examples of great theming, here are a few of my personal favorites that are not wing coasters. Light of Revenge, a clone of Cheetah Hunt, has some of the coolest futuristic sci-fi looking sets ever. Dragon in the Jungle, a new-gen Vekoma, has an amazing setting and station theme. Walrus Splash is one of the weirdest and coolest themed water coasters out there. Crystal Wing is the best themed B&M flyer, and yes, it's more well themed than Flying Dinosaur. Battle of the Jungle King is one of the most beautiful coasters with its dueling tilt tracks, and Launch Coaster at Colorful Union Paradise has absolutely amazing rock work. These are just a few of my hand-selected favorites. I'm sure there are so many parks with so much amazing theming because it's just embraced and done a lot more there. It's really cool to see. And that's not even counting hidden gem dark rides and all this crazy stuff you can find. Even if the coaster layouts don't contain theming, the attention to detail in queue lines and stations is absolutely insane. It's really hard to say if the theming is better in China or Europe, but it sure is very close. I'm just a huge sucker for this type of thing, so China would absolutely blow me out of the water in this category. The last point of this video is kind of about accessibility. For obvious reasons, China is not the most accessible country ever. You don't see enthusiasts flocking here day in and day out like you do with the States, Europe, or even Japan. However, when you do get to China, it's pretty easy to get from park to park. I have no idea what the infrastructure is like, I'm just talking about proximity. Almost all of the parks in China are centered around 3 major cities: Hong Kong, Beijing, and Shanghai. And what's so good about this is that you could stay in one general area and have access to an insane amount of parks and coasters. Nowhere in the world is this as saturated with theme parks and roller coasters as these cities are, except maybe Orlando, and even that is a stretch. Say I was taking a vacation to Shanghai. Here are all the parks that I could hit up along with their best roller coaster. I could stop by Shanghai Disneyland and check out Tron and the new Zootopia Land. Then I could go to Happy Valley and ride a highly themed Juvaling clone supported by a B&M dive coaster and an Intamin Megalite. I then go to HB World and ride Heaven's Wing and follow that up with Beyond the Cloud at Forest World. The next day I can go to Wuxi Sonicland and ride Falcon and follow it up with Starry Sky Ripper at Joyland. You then could continue the trip and make it out to do Dinoconda, then Light of Revenge, then Dragon in the Jungle, then Jungle Trailblazer, and really you can go on and on. It's just mind-blowing how close these parks are. All 10 of the parks I just mentioned are within 4 hours of each other, which I don't think you could say the same thing anywhere else in the world. It's absolutely crazy. So in summary, China is severely underrated in the amusement industry. They're the leading consumer for these rides and are installing crazy new coasters every single year. They have sheer quantity of rides while still valuing quality and making sure everything is amazing. There are tons of supporting coasters and everything is super close to each other if you are in the major cities. China is a massive country with a lot of people, so it is expected to have great parks. But seriously, they don't get a lot of talk, probably because it's China. But hey, if it's ever plausible, one day I want to check out this country. That's all for today's video, guys. As always, make sure to like and subscribe, and also join the Discord link in the description. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great rest of your day. Goodbye.